10. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
Hi, I'm Jack Buck for Grandstand here on NBC, and in just a moment we're going up to Fenway Park in Boston and hopeful that we'll have the same kind of good defensive action that we had yesterday. It was a terrific game, wasn't it? Meanwhile, I have a problem. No one comes around to the Grandstand with beer and hot dogs and popcorn, but I have something else to cover me this afternoon. Remember a couple of weeks ago when Baltimore and Boston were both alive, I said the two of them together couldn't beat Oakland? Well, the mails started to come in, and I'm supposed to eat crow because of what I said. And I've got myself covered, so along about the third inning of the ball game, I'm going to dig in and make you more angry if you're rooting for Boston by picking Cincinnati, even though they lost the first game yesterday. Seriously, though, here on Grandstand, we're going to be gathering the sports news of the day. We're going to be collecting highlights of the football games that are being played. Then after the baseball game, go to Kansas City for the Oakland game. And right now, it's almost game time up in Boston. So we'll send you back to Fenway Park for Game 2 of the 1975 World Series.
Game 2 of the 1975 World Series. The National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds, versus the American League champions, the Boston Red Sox. There you see a shot of Boston on this foggy, rainy Sunday morning and afternoon. We've had rain here, neither ball club took batting practice, but the field is being cleared right now. And today's game is brought to you by your Chrysler Plymouth dealers, who invite you to see all their 1976 models on Thursday. And by Cricket, the disposable butane lighter that lasts for months. Catch a Cricket by Gillette. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Garagiola, along with Ned Martin. We'll be describing the action of the game this afternoon between the Boston Red Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. Well, all the talk today was Luis Tiant and not too much talk about the wall. As far as the wall, nobody came close to hitting it yesterday, and I think that the Cincinnati ball club, as good a ball club as they are, realized after the game, a 6-0 win by Tiant, that Tiant could have beaten them if they were playing in an airport or if they were playing in a telephone booth. They played their game, and he beat them. The right-hand hitters tried to go the opposite field, but Tiant was just a little bit too much. As far as today, Jack Billingham is the pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. He is switched in rotation with Fred Norman. Sparky Anderson made the move, feeling that Fred Norman would be more important in middle relief. Sparky has two left-handers that he can call on. He wants to hold Will McEnany for late in the ball game, so he is using Jack Billingham, a sinker ball pitcher. As I said, I'll be working with Ned Martin today. Ned has been with the Boston Red Sox all year, and Ned, the pitcher for the Red Sox, is Bill Lee, and that should give us an interesting afternoon.
Bill is one of the blithe spirits of baseball, Joe, and you're going to get a kick out of him and some of the quotes that he's made. But besides that, he's a pretty good pitcher. He won 17 games this year, 17 last year, and 17 the year before. And he said, I'm a consistent 17-game winner. Somebody asked him if he went to Darrell Johnson and said he wanted to pitch this game, if he was ready. He said, no, the manager came to me and said I was ready. So he's a guy that has a great move to first base. He's a good fielder. And I think you're going to see an awful lot of strange moves by him because he is a good one. The last game he won was August the 24th in a game against Chicago, and the same kind of day this was, held up by about an hour and a half of rain. And in that game, Carl Yastrzemski hit a home run to help him win it in the rain.
Still doing it.
Yeah, Yaz is doing a lot of things, like he did yesterday with a catch that he made, a clutch catch in left field. And he's done it not only from 67 on, but before that. Has been an underrated and undersung superstar for the Red Sox.
That he has, and you've got a lot of fine young ball players on his ball club. You got Carlton Fisk, who had that battle with Johnny Bench, and it was a standoff yesterday.
Reggie Jackson of the A's said that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, before it all ended, he said, if you don't have Fisk ready, you're going to lose. He said he's the glue that holds your ball club together, and he proved right.
Well, Ned, another fellow be with us was Tony Kubek, and Tony, before the game, talked to two fellas that are leading, as far as the parade is concerned, the most valuable player, Fred Lynn and Joe Morgan. Tony went to the dugout and talked to him before the game.
Number 43. Freddie, your first World Series game yesterday, what were your feelings as that first pitch was thrown? Were you nervous? Were you concerned? Were you uptight? What adjective might describe it?
So, Tony, before the game I was a little bit nervous, as I am in almost every game, but after the first pitch was thrown, all my nerves left me, and I was completely relaxed.
Joe, you've been in this before, and you've seen now an actual game competition, the Red Sox. What about this ballpark, and what about the Red Sox team?
Well, I think the Boston Red Sox play this ballpark very well, especially their outfielders. I think that was the difference in our ball game yesterday. The way they played our hitters a little shallower than our outfielders played their hitters. And none of our balls fell in front of them, and a couple of theirs fell in front of us. And plus, they've got good speed and good players in the outfield. So they play this park very, very well, and I hope that we can play it a little differently today.
Joe, let me take you back one day, and Tiant and Nick Colosi, the first base umpire, said he broke his knee, he balked. What did you see?
I saw the same thing, but I saw the pitch earlier, a throw earlier. He almost picked me off because he gave me a limp knee and came to first base, which is a very good move, A lot of guys do that and they can't get away with it. It's very obvious, but he does it so quickly that it's hard to detect, and plus he changes. He doesn't do it each and every time he comes to first base.
Freddie, what about an outfielder coming to the Green Monster in Fenway Park? That's got to pose quite a bit of problems for him.
I think so, Tony. You may come out here for a workout the day before and get the balls off the wall, but you can't possibly find out every little thing in one day. Like Joe says, playing shallow. That's a key thing in this park. You can't play deep. Anything hit over your head's going to bounce off that wall, and you may be able to hold them to a single anyway.
Freddie, they saw something very quickly yesterday. Luis Tiant and some of the moves he has to all the bases. He's going to see something tricky today, isn't he, from Bill Lee?
Bill Lee is a little bit different than anybody, actually. Bill Lee has a style all his own, and he'll hold runners close, I'll tell you that.
Joe Morgan, Freddie Lynn, 2 MVPs in each of their respective league. Let's go back upstairs.
Okay, Tony. I have to kind of laugh, and I can't wait to see Bill Lee pitch myself, because when you mention it to Ned Martin, he kind of snickers. You mention it to Fred Lynn, he says, oh, yeah, he's different. Well, we'll find out, and we'll bring you the national anthem and the ceremonial first pitch right after this message.
Welcome to the baseball world of Joe Garagiola. This is World Series game number 2. Our show is brought to you by the B.F. Goodrich Tire Company. B.F. Goodrich. We're the other guys.
Welcome to Boston in Game 2 of the 1975 World Series. According to the weatherman, I didn't think I'd get to say that. And if you think Luis Tiant was confusing to the Cincinnati hitters yesterday, you should see the curveball that the city of Boston got from the weatherman. But in any case, we're going to have baseball today, and we've got some things in the baseball world I think you're going to like. Why don't you stick around?
Do you believe a guy can make a living doing this? Knock wood.
I can take them all in 5. Ow! Maybe 6.
Ain't it a beauty?
The next time you knock on wood, make sure it's Weldwood. Beautiful, lasting Weldwood paneling in a full range of grains, textures, and prices. Weldwood paneling from U.S. Plywood. You can knock on it.
Baseball may be a young man's game, but yesterday it belonged to the older young men. Carl Yastrzemski, Rico Petrocelli, and Luis Tiant. Tiant delivers, Foster hits, and Yastrzemski cuts the ball off, and instead of a double, a long single. And watch this catch. The score was 0-0. The score was still 0-0. He stopped the run with his glove, and now he drives in the first run with his bat, Carl Yastrzemski. And now Rico Petrocelli, another one of the older young men. Look at the target on the outside corner. Goes with the pitch. It's extra bases. A double. And with this base hit, 2 runs score. And like Yastrzemski, with his bat and with his glove, here's a tremendous play, and it's the last out of the game, the Boston Red Sox winner. Luis Tiant is the winner. Now, to describe Luis Tiant, the magic word has to be confusion. Now, he throws 6 different pitches, got 76 different deliveries, and no matter where you sit in the ballpark, guarantee you sometime during the game, Luis Tiant is going to look you right in the eye. Look at it. Now, I want you to watch the look on Pete Rose's face on that slow curveball. I bet he felt the pressure of his feet trying to leave his shoes. Surprised the shoestrings didn't break. Look at it. Same kind of feeling you get if you get lost in a car wash. Tiant looks up, down, gives you fingernails, elbows, neck. What an exhibition. Almost like he's put together on hinges. He nods to you. And on the bases, you see, when you confuse other fellas, sometimes you can be confused. That was a base hit. He moved the second on a bunt. The throw goes into center field, and he makes a U-turn to get back. Now he says hello to Don Zimmer. Don, remember me in the clubhouse? Oh, yes. With that base hit, Tiant broke a 3-year slump. Last hit was in 1972. When you're off the bases that long, you forget little things. Like, tagging home plate. So he makes an O-turn, and he goes back to tag it. Now, an added attraction to watching these elder statesmen of the Boston Red Sox work is the reaction of the fans. Now, with these modern, brand-new stadiums, you got all kinds of super facilities, but this ballpark is different, Fenway Park. It's home to these fans. And they come for a lot of reasons. They come to cheer. They come to parade. And, of course, they come to root. And I mean they do some, well, let's call it studious rooting. And, of course, they come to eat. And eat. And I mean eat and listen. Then eat. And eat. Little Kelly Savalas there. Oops, I got a root. Get the hot dog out of my hands. Just in time. I don't know what he's doing. He's eating. He's finished. Yesterday, for the Boston Red Sox and the Boston Red Sox fans, it was a picnic. If I had my way, there would be another Baseball Hall of Fame. My Hall of Fame. And it would include things that I saw or heard, things I wish I had seen or heard, and things that I hope to see or hear. Want to know what it would be like? It would have a wing devoted to the great moments of baseball. Like the day in Brooklyn when the fans booed a Pittsburgh player named Casey Stengel. Stengel acknowledged the boos by tipping his cap, and a sparrow flew out of it. And the time that Pepper Martin ran out a ground ball, and he wound up with a long, 2-footed leap. The soles of his shoes and the spikes stayed in the ground. His feet kept running. Now, there has to be a place to recall that day in Boston when Willie Horton's fly ball hit a bird. And also the day in St. Louis when Dave Parker hit a ball and it split in two. And no section devoted to great plays would be complete without the uniform shirt of George Johnson, an outfielder for the old Atlanta club. George leaped high for a long drive. The ball rolled down his arm and into his uniform shirt. And by the time he got it unbuttoned, dug out the ball, and threw it in, the batter had circled the bases for the game's first inside the shirt home run. When Paul Richards was managing the Orioles, he once worked out a play that had the pitcher exchange gloves with the catcher on his way to back up home plate. The idea was that a finger glove would be better than the big catcher's mitt for catching the ball and tagging the runner. The first time they worked the play, the switch of gloves went perfectly. Then, the catcher realized that the pitcher was left-handed. I know one of the favorite sections in my Hall of Fame would be the quotes wing. Scholars could come and find the great wisdom of the game as spoken down through the years. Umpire Nestor Shylock would be there. He was asked why he hadn't thrown Billy Martin out of a game after a big argument at home plate. Shylock said, I didn't see him do anything. After all, I've only got 2 pairs of eyes. Now, we owe a special debt to the coaches and managers who have proved that they are Hall of Fame material by saying things like, 90% of all fly balls are hit in the air. Line up in alphabetical order, according to height. Run out anything, fair, foul, or otherwise. Guys, hair off in 3s. When you come to the fork in the road, take it. Line up in a circle. Now, a manager has a place in my Hall of Fame when he asks a question like, how can I be in 2 places at the same time without a car? Or divides up his players by saying, right-handers over here, left-handers over there, the rest of you come with me. Or fires up his players by telling them, men, it takes a 4-letter word to win today's game, pride. And I have to honor a manager who walked up to 2 of his players who were having a catch and said, you, come with me. And you, just keep throwing the ball. The real attraction of my Hall of Fame will be the section devoted to some things I have always wanted to see done, like watching the batter scratch out the line. I'm waiting for the catcher to reach in his pocket, take out a brush, and paint the line back. And you don't have to be a player to make my Hall of Fame. I'd have a place for the guys who drive the carts that bring in the pitchers from the bullpen. The first one to run out of gas on his way in becomes a Hall of Famer. And I'll have a special bus trip to my Hall of Fame for the team that gets into a spot where the manager goes to the mound to talk to the pitcher, and everybody on the field, in the bullpen, and on the bench goes with the manager. And when the meeting is over, they all go back to the bench and leave the pitcher out there alone. Am I in my Hall of Fame? Sure. It's my idea, ain't it? I built it, didn't I? Well, build your own.
I'm a ball player, and I get to do commercials. But when I opened my own restaurant last year, I faced the same problem as any new businessman: how to reach people. The Yellow Pages helped put my restaurant on the map, and it's still the biggest part of our advertising. If you want to go into business, the Yellow Pages can help you too, even if your name's not Johnny Bench.
Let your fingers do the walking. It's a snap. Advertise in the Yellow Pages.
This has been a tough World Series already for some people in the prediction business. The experts who picked Cincinnati in 4 straight, they've gone into hiding. And the weatherman who said that today's game would be rained out, I think he's starting a new slump. So today, for the Boston Red Sox, it'll be a left-hander, Bill Lee. Jack Billingham is the pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. And we hope that you'll join us on Tuesday night for Game 3 in Cincinnati. Right now, I'm going to go upstairs and... Hey, don't laugh. Hats are very big in Boston. I'll show you what I mean.
See a special episode of Moving On, Monday night at 8, 7 Central Time.
Out of a certain direction, it gets better or what, or you just stay away from that kind of thing?
I try to just pack up and go home, but if it comes from over the west there, if it's bad weather coming, it means it's through, a front is moving through, you know, and you can expect some bad, if it gets dark up there. When it comes in from the water, why, you may get a northeaster, it may change, and as much as 15 or 20 degrees in the course of a ball game. But I think this is one of those shower days. I think it will let up. I think we're going to get through.
Can I ask you something? Now, I don't know direction, but is Canada over that way?
Don't ask me.
Because if it isn't, I'm so happy because To the Canadian friends, I sympathize with you. The weathermen have had us believing, and I know the weathermen are going to get crazy. The only thing we ever get from Canada, it seems, a cold front. We never seem to get good weather, and I know we get some good weather from Canada. And if Canada is not there, I'm glad somebody else is sending us a cold front, because they don't send us all those cold fronts.
No, I think Canada's over right field somewhere.
You know, you mentioned there is a shot of the crowd with the umbrellas as we kind of wait. It's not really coming down.
We're going to listen to Tony Kubek. Tony Kubek in the rain delay area is going to be talking with somebody down there, so we'll check in with Tony.
All right, the man with whom I'm speaking is a man who drove in over 100 runs for the American League champion Boston Red Sox. He had over 22 home runs, and yet he will not be the Rookie of the Year, or will you?
No,
you've got some competition from Freddie Lynn. This is Jim Rice, who is out of the series, obviously. Jim, what are your feelings right now as you watch your ball club that you helped all year long in a World Series?
Well, I'm not disappointed in anything about my injury. I'm happy I contribute something to the team with my 102 RBIs to get them here, and I just hope they continue having the great success like we have had during the season. But it's a shame that I can't play, and I'm not down to anything. I just wish the guys all the luck.
I'm surprised. What, you had your hand out of the cast a couple of days now?
About 3 days.
His left hand?
Left hand.
Fracture?
Fracture.
You know who your biggest supporter is? I'll tell you who he is. At the All-Star game in Milwaukee, I went up to Freddie Lynn and congratulated him for making the American League All-Star team, and he said, you know, Jimmy Rice ought to be here.
I wish I was there. If you go back and look, my statistics was just as bad as anyone else, but just like you say, it was the people chose, and I was a little disappointed, but I said, what the heck, I'm here to play baseball, and a couple of years I hope to make the All-Star team.
You're not going to have any problem going into next year with that hand, are you?
I hope not, Tony.
In fact, I saw you swinging a bat in the clubhouse a little while ago. It looked like you hit right now.
It feels pretty good, but I think if I go out there and try to play, I'll probably refracture or rehurt it or something like that, and I just take my time to go home during the winter and just relax and build it up by squeezing the sponge or something like that and just come back next year.
Jim, did Luis Tiant, well, this may be a bad choice of words, did he surprise you yesterday the way he pitched at Fenway against the Cincinnati Reds?
No, not really. If you ask Louis, say, Louis, how you feel? He say he feel great. You can expect a good game from Louis. It's been like this all season, like he really knows when he's going to pitch a bad game, like when his back was hurt, he said, I don't feel good or something like that. And anytime Louis go out there, you can expect it. You know, you just can't expect anything. Some days the guy go out and he just got his good stuff. No one can hit him. No one can beat him. And when they're hitting the ball, they're hitting it right at someone.
Bill Lee's pretty tough, too. It looks like Cincinnati to me, from what we've seen of them, it's primarily a fastball hitting club. And Tiant used the curveball well. Today, Bill Lee's used the off-speed stuff.
That's right. It seemed like the Cincinnati just waiting on a fastball. And our pitcher know it, and the guys on the bench knows it. And as long as they get the breaking ball over, why throw the fastball? Just throw your breaking stuff and make them hit it on the ground or pop it up, something like that. With this wind blowing in, it's going to take a real good boat to get out here today.
Yeah, people forget that. You know, they always think of that wall, and it hasn't been hit yet in this young series, but they figure there are going to be a lot of balls hit off there. But when the wind's blowing it, it's not an easy park to hit it.
It's not, but Tony, I've played out there, and the ball's been hit there. The guys just only get a single. If I was them, I would try to hit the ball the other way. And if the guy pitched the ball in and you hit it, you're going to hit the wall. But I wouldn't go out there really try to looking for the pitch to hit the wall. But I think yesterday, bench, like even the ball was outside like he was trying to pull it. And I know that wall would say it's only 315 down there, but you're going to have to get it up to get it out.
That's quite a ball club they've got over there. You've beaten them the first game. You're heading this ball game, but that's a tough club. We've seen them all year long, and they like the fastball. They can do a lot of things. They run well. They do everything so well, but every time they seem to get something going or about ready to get something going, Yaz makes a diving catch. Fisk throws somebody out at second base. Morgan today. Lynn with a diving catch, and you guys have played that way all year long, haven't you?
That's right. We played that way all year, and I know you're stopping now, especially at this time of year, World Series. I think this the time all the guys on both teams really go out, diving catch, really try to move the wall a little back by running into it. Excuse me. But these guys, just like I said, been doing all year, and they don't want to stop now.
Jim Rice, congratulations on a fine year. We wish you could be in this World Series.
I do, too.
Right now, we're going to throw it to Marty Brenham, and he's in the Cincinnati dugout, and he's got the manager, old White Top himself, Sparky Anderson.
Thank you very much, Tony. Sparky Anderson, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, is here. And Sparky, a bleak 2 days of weather here at Fenway Park and in Boston, Massachusetts, and so far things have not gone well for the Big Red Machine.
It's not the weather, Marty. The trouble is right now we haven't generated.
That man interfered with him right there. The man was all over him right here. Let me feel the ball. I'm going to ask you if he touched him before he got his hands on that ball. I'm telling you.
If you're a ball player or a fan, this is what it's all about. The World Series in 1975 will be remembered as the year that flesh and blood baseball teams met head-on in a dream World Series. The Boston Red Sox, the American League champions, against the National League's Cincinnati Reds. It was a World Series marked by superpower, super pitching, two super catchers, super effort. Super fans. It'll be remembered very clearly as truly a super World Series. The U.S. Navy Color Guard parades the flag in Boston's Fenway Park. And Game 1 of the Super Series 75 is about to begin. For the Red Sox, Senor Luis Tiant, from Cuban exile to King of the Hill in Boston. He gives you all kinds of motion. Elbows, fingernails, kneecaps, and somewhere in the middle of it all, there's a baseball. And they say that no matter where you sit in Fenway Park, sometime during the game, Tiant's going to look you right in the eye. And the fans love him. For Cincinnati, Don Gullett, out 2 months with a broken thumb, but still a 15-game winner. It's the top of the fourth. Johnny Bench at the plate. Joe Morgan's at first, no score. And this is the showdown everybody's been waiting for. Luis Tiant's good move against the base-running skills of Joe Morgan. Doesn't get him. Red Sox aren't sure. Tiant sets, throws. Umpire Nick Colossi calls it a balk. And Red Sox manager Darrell Johnson drops in for a chat. Tiant gets benched to pop out, and then he ends the inning by striking out Tony Perez. It's during this World Series that Red Sox owner Tom Yawkey is to say that the best all-around player the Red Sox have had is Carl Yastrzemski. Here's Yastrzemski making a believer out of Cincinnati's Dave Concepcion. The score is still 0-0, top of the seventh. And watch this play. In the bottom of the seventh, Tiant didn't look like a guy who hadn't been to bat in 3 years. Base hit. He did look like a guy who hadn't been on base in 3 years. Johnny Pesky gives him a jacket and says, now make a left turn. Dwight Evans wants Tiant to second. Make the U-turn, Louis. Don Zimmer has to reintroduce himself and says, hey, Louis, I'll be the next guy you see. I'm at third base. The fans love him. Denny Doyle singles Tiant to third. And Yastrzemski's single sends him home. But you know, you can forget things in 3 years. Touch the plate, Louis. The Red Sox keep rolling. Petrocelli's single off reliever Will McEnany scores 2 more. Sparky Anderson's unhappy. Rick Burleson's single drives in the 4th run. And Carlton Fisk slides in with the 5th run of the inning. And the Sox get another one before they're retired. Treasury Secretary William Simon threw out the first ball. He's a spectator. And Luis Tiant, who started the big inning, now finishes it. Tiant goes back to the mound with a 6-0 lead. Tian closes the door, 1, 2, 3 in the 8th, and in the 9th he gets Perez. George Foster is the second out. Concepcion makes the third out. And the Red Sox have won the first game of the World Series 6-0. The thrill for Tian is doubled because it happens in front of his father, who Tian has not seen in 14 years. It was tough to tell who was prouder.
Yes, you're right. You know, I guess after the 14 years, I don't see my father. That's the first game in the World Series he see, and my first game for me too. And I'll be glad. You know, like I said before, I thank God I can be with him again.
Game number 2 was a salute to the Navy on his 200th birthday. The game honored more than 500,000 Navy men and women who have worn the Navy uniform with pride.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Fenway Park.
Seaman Carl C. Glencross tosses out the first ball under rainy skies. Left-hander Bill Lee continues to hold Cincinnati scoreless until the 4th inning. Morgan walks. Johnny Bench singles, sending Morgan to third. And when Tony Perez hits into a force play, the Big Red Machine scores its first run of the series. In the top of the 6th, with 2 men out, Johnny Bench hits a sinking line drive towards center fielder Fred Lynn. You can see it wasn't just his batting that made Lynn the first rookie in baseball history to be named his league's most valuable player. Watch this play again. Fred Lynn. Bottom of the 6th inning, 2 out, 1 on. Rico Petrocelli against Cincinnati starter Jack Billingham. 1 swing of the bat, and the game turns around. The Red Sox lead 2-1. And despite a 27-minute rain delay, Bill Lee holds the Boston lead until the 9th. The lights are on. Johnny Bench is the hitter.
Number 5, Johnny Bench.
Bench looking for an outside pitch, gets it, and hits an opposite field double. Lead leaves. Darrell Johnson goes to his bullpen.
Number 41, Dick Drago. Now pitches the Boston.
Got a man on second base, Dick. I'll tell you what, just get right. Second sign, all right. But the thing about it is just go right in and hard, in and out, up and down. So we'll get right after him. Come on.
Dick Drago gets 2 quick outs.
Young, the shortstop.
Tying run is on third, 1 out left, and Concepcion is the batter. Bouncing ball up the middle, an infield hit, and the game's tied. Cincinnati's base running speed, so far not a factor, suddenly becomes very important. Ken Griffey at bat. Concepcion breaks for second. Makes it. And the tie-breaking run is in scoring position. Griffey doubles to left center field. Concepcion scores to make it 3-2. That's the way it ends, and the 1975 World Series leaves Boston tied 1 game apiece. Game 3 and Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium.
Taking off those hitters.
Red Sox manager Darrell Johnson was a member of a pennant-winning Cincinnati team, but that was in Crosley Field days, so Sparky Anderson conducts a guided tour.
It's about 20 feet behind all the way. Everything else you'll hear in this comment.
The Reds start Gary Nolan, who won 15 games in 1975 after missing nearly 2 complete seasons with shoulder problems. Top of the 2nd, Nolan pitches to Boston catcher Carlton Fisk. And there she goes, the first home run of this 1975 World Series. 2 games in a small ballpark in Boston, no home runs. In the big ballpark here, this is the first of 6 home runs in the game. In the fourth, starter Rick Wise against Johnny Bench. Two-run homer. The next inning, back-to-back home runs by Concepcion and Cesar Geronimo. And these were followed by a triple by Pete Rose. And watch him run. Rose says he always gives 110%, and it shows. Rose scores on Joe Morgan's sacrifice fly, and the Reds lead 5-1.
Number 1, Bernie Carbo.
In the seventh, Bernie Carbo was sent up to pinch hit with the score 5-2. Clay Carroll is the pitcher. And there she goes. And there goes Clay Carroll. You think he was upset?
Now pitching for Cincinnati, number 37, Will McEnany.
Petrocelli singles the center. And Sparky Anderson lives up to his nickname of Captain Hook, and he brings in his fifth pitcher of the game, Raleigh Eastwick. Dwight Evans is the batter.
24, Dwight Evans.
And there she goes, over the left field wall, a home run, and the game is tied at 5-5. Foster is unhappy. And now comes the most talked about play of the series. Pinch hitter Ed Armbrister bunts. Catcher Fisk moves for the ball. His throw goes into center field. The runners move to second and third, and here comes Red Sox manager Darrell Johnson.
The man ran into him in the thing. He was interfering, and you went to call it. You tell me what you were calling, man, when he did it.
On a play like that,
I'm telling you, the man interfered with that man on the play. I'm telling you, I want to see a man down here. Come here. You mean to tell me that you can't help him on a play like that when he hasn't even touched the ball, and the man was interfering with him?
Listen to me, there's no interference when a ball is hit and the catcher goes for the ball and the batter tries to get out of the box.
And the batter tries to get out of the way. He was all over the catcher.
Now, when the batter comes out of the box after hitting the ball and the catcher makes a play, there is no interference.
I'm going to tell you something. That's not the way that Clay went. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know what you're going to make a ruling on that, but I want you to explain exactly what you were looking at when you called the play.
Okay, the guy, the ball was hit, he was moving for the ball, and the runner was moving to first.
The runner was all over the catcher in there.
I can't help that. It happened right there.
I'll tell you one thing. It's a lousy operation, and you and I know it right now. It's a lousy operation.
Armchair umpires all over the country got in on this one, but umpire Larry Barnett's was the decision that counted. Johnson now brought in Roger Moret to pitch to the dangerous Joe Morgan, everybody's choice for the National League's most valuable player. The defense is in to cut off the run. But Morgan hits it over Fred Lynn's head. And Cincinnati wins 6-5 in 10 innings to go ahead in the series, 2-1. Here's Morgan on that subject.
Well, when I go up and the base is loaded and I got a chance to win a ball game like that, I go up to get a base hit. I wasn't up there trying to hit a fly ball or a ground ball to get him in. I wanted to get him in with a clean single to center field. I try to revert back to the basic fundamentals of hitting and try and do a good job.
The Red Sox, hoping to even the series, named Luis Tiant to come back in Game 4. But Tiant, who shut out the Reds in the first game, has problems right away. Pete Rose leads it off. Single to center field. Griffey hits the next pitch to left center field. It's a double, scoring Rose. Griffey was out trying to stretch it to a triple. Joe Morgan walked, and with 2 out, Johnny Bench is the hitter. Bench lines one between Evans and Lynn, a 2-base hit, and it scores Morgan with the second run. 2-0 Cincinnati. And for the first 3 innings, Cincinnati's Fred Norman kept the door closed. But then in the 4th inning, with 2 on and 1 out, Dwight Evans is the hitter. Evans triples to right center field, tying the game.
got me now? That's the way we're going to go, and I'll keep in contact with you as we go. But just get them prepared that way, okay? Thank you. Good. Perfect.
Rick Burleson singles over Concepcion, and Boston leads 3-2. Sparky Anderson goes to his bullpen for Pedro Borbon.
Seconds, you got one out, or you have to come to a stop, Pete. Now, I'm telling you. One out, and man on second. You look at him, give him a stop.
And Borbon has to face the hot bat of Luis Tiant. Tiant singles, and that raises his batting average for the series to .500. Burleson scored on an error, and then Yastrzemski hit this one to shallow center field, but watch the bounce. Tiant scores, and the Red Sox lead 5-2. This game is not an easy one for Luis Tiant. 2 out in the 4th. And George Foster is the batter. Foster, an infield hit. Good try, but not in time. Concepcion hits one to left center, where some of the Red Sox players decide to hold a meeting. Foster scores, and it's 5-3 Boston. Sparky and Kluszewski enjoyed it. Geronimo is the hitter. And Geronimo lines down the left field line. It gets past Juan Benitez, and it goes for a 3-base hit. The score, 5-4. As easy as Tiant made it look in the first game, that's how tough this one is. Geronimo leads off the 9th with his 3rd hit of the game. Armbrister is up there. Armbrister bunts, this time without incident, and it moves Geronimo to second. Luis Tiant is concerned. Mrs. Tiant is concerned. Darrell Johnson is concerned.
What do you guys think? I got a left-hander down here, Louis. Can you get him? All right. You get right after them. That ball comes back to you. Make sure of one out there. And get after him good. Come on.
Pete Rose walks, so Ken Griffey comes to the plate with the tying and winning runs on base. Griffey hits a line drive to center that looks sure to be off the wall. What a catch. Watch it again. Fred Lynn. But Tiant still has a problem. Joe Morgan. Geronimo is at second base. Watch him break. Tiant throws. Morgan pops it up. It was the 163rd pitch of the game. The Red Sox win what one big league manager used to call a cliff dweller. Boston 5, Cincinnati 4. Game 5, and Bernie Carbo and Pete Rose visit before the game. The 5th game saw the Red Sox score in the 1st on Denny Doyle's triple and a sacrifice fly by Yastrzemski. In the 4th, Reggie Cleveland is shutting Cincinnati out when Tony Perez comes to the plate. Perez is looking for his first hit of the series. He's 15 for 0. But with one swing of the bat, it's goodbye slump, goodbye baseball, and goodbye Red Sox lead. We're tied at 1 apiece. Bottom of the 5th, and it's Cincinnati pitcher Don Gullett. Gullett singles. Cleveland against Pete Rose. Rose doubles into the left field corner. Don Gullett scores, and the Reds lead 2-1. And now we'll see another way that Joe Morgan helps his ball club. After he walks in the bottom of the 6th, Joe Morgan breaks for second. Watch Denny Doyle. He's pulled towards the bag, and Johnny Bench hits right through the hole vacated by Doyle.
24, Tony Perez.
And then Tony Perez shows that the slump is really over. There she goes. We have ourselves a 5-1 ball game. Don Gullett comes into the 9th inning having given up only 2 hits. Johnny Bench will say later, I've never seen him better. And there are 2 outs in the 9th. But the Red Sox still aren't convinced. Yastrzemski singles, and so does Fisk. Here is Fred Lynn. A double down the right field line, scoring Yaz. And Sparky Anderson decides that it's time to make a change. A record crowd of 56,393 give Gullett a standing ovation. Eastwick comes in, strikes out Petrocelli, and the World Series moves back to Boston with the Reds leading 3-2. What do you do on a rainy day in Fenway? Well, you don't play baseball. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn and a staff of umpires inspect the field, and they announce there's no chance. 3 days of rain, 3 postponements, and hardly a man is now alive who remembers that day in '75 when this World Series started. Finally, the clouds and the tarpaulin were both rolled back, and the fans sat down, not realizing that they were about to see the game to which other World Series games would be compared for years to come.
Here on the official lineup.
For the Boston Red Sox, it was win or go home, so they went with the ace, Luis Tiant. He got the Reds out in the 1st. And Gary Nolan went to the mound for Cincinnati. Nolan got the first 2 batters, and then Yastrzemski and Fisk singled. Here is Fred Lynn. There she goes, a home run. And Fenway Park goes wild as the Red Sox take a first inning 3-0 lead. The amazing Fred Lynn. That's still the score in the top of the 5th. Armbruster walks for Cincinnati, and it brings up Pete Rose. Rose singles, and there are men on 1st and 3rd. Griffey hits one to deep center field. Lynn goes back, makes a great try, but the ball is off the wall for a triple. Both runners score, but all eyes are on Lynn, slumped to the ground in center field, and noisy Fenway Park is silent.
Move your legs all right, huh?
I'll be okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
The famous left field wall in Fenway has been ignored up to now. But Johnny Bench singles off it and ties the score at 3-3. Watch Yastrzemski play that ball perfectly. Perez is out, and the inning is over. Tied at 3-3. In the 7th, Griffey opens with a single. Joe Morgan punches a base hit to left. Luis Tiant gets the next 2 men, Bench and Perez, but George Foster doubles high off the center field wall, and the Reds lead 5-3. Top of the 8th inning, and the Reds, who had trailed by 3, now lead by 3 when Geronimo hits his 2nd home run of the series. Bill Johnson goes to the mound and signals for Roger Moret.
Okay, Louis.
It is not Tiant's night, but the Red Sox fans still love their Louis. It's the bottom of the eighth, and even the die-hard Red Sox fans can't realize that, as Al Jolson used to say, they ain't seen nothing yet. Lynn singles, Petrocelli walks, and Sparky Anderson brings in Eastwick.
You're ready now, aren't you? Yeah. You got first and second, nobody out. Let's go to work.
Eastwick is his 6th pitcher of the game. And after he gets 2 outs, Bernie Carbo is the pinch hitter. The tying runs are on. And after 2 strikes, Bernie Carbo gives a hitting clinic of his own. First, the worst-looking swing of the series, and it's foul. Then the perfect swing, and this one is fair, and it's also gone. The game is tied at 6-6. The Red Sox have come back from a 3-run deficit. They're back in the World Series, and nobody knows that better than Bernie Carbo. Fenway Park is going wild. Except in certain parts. Dick Drago gets the Reds 1-2-3 in the 9th. In the Boston 9th, Denny Doyle walks. Yastrzemski singles, and Sparky changes pitchers. This time it's Will McEnany. He walks Fisk intentionally. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Fred Lynn the hitter. Lynn hits a fly ball to short left field. Caught by Foster, and watch what happens when Doyle tries to score. Out! McEnany gets Petrocelli to ground out, and we go into extra innings. In the top of the 11th, Rose goes to first base when the plate umpire says that Drago's pitch hit him. Fisk doesn't think so.
Ball never touched him.
Satch, can you say for sure on a play like that it didn't hit the man's shirt?
That's what I saw, what I heard, and what I called.
And it wasn't anything to do with his glove or a damn thing?
No.
Rose said later it might have hit a string on his uniform. I don't know. Griffey bunts. Fisk makes a perfect throw to get Rose. Joe Morgan is the batter. Morgan lines one to right field. What a catch. Sparky Anderson was to say later, it was just about the greatest catch I've ever seen. Watch it again. Evans told reporters I just stuck out my glove, and the next thing I knew, I was thrown it to first base. Now he realizes he got the double play. It's the 12th inning, and although it's after midnight, the only empty seats are in the Cincinnati bullpen. And their 8th pitcher, Pat Darcy, is pitching against Carlton Fisk. Fisk takes the first pitch high. Ball 1. Then he swings. There she goes. Now watch Fisk. He uses all the body English he can get. He will tell reporters later it was a question of it being fair or foul. The wind must have carried it 15 feet toward the foul pole. I just stood there and watched. I didn't want to miss seeing it go out. Here it is again. How to sum up this game? Well, maybe it was done best by Cincinnati's Pete Rose, who said, "I never like to lose, but I'm proud to have played in this ball game." The unbelievable 1975 World Series goes to Game 7. But here's Fisk.
It's probably one of the most exciting ball games that I've ever played in, regardless of whether it's been a World Series or whether it's been a regular ball game, but even more so since it was a World Series. It was a crucial game for us and maybe a crucial game for baseball itself. I think we showed a lot of people how the game's supposed to be played.
The World Series, which started as a best 4 out of 7, boils down to a best out of 1. 35,000 in the ballpark and an unprecedented 76 million television viewers will get set for the deciding game. Cincinnati's Don Gullett walks Bernie Carbo in the 3rd. And then Denny Doyle, who has hit safely in every game, does it again with this single, which sends Carbo to 3rd. Yastrzemski is the batter. Base hit. And when Doyle goes to 3rd, Yastrzemski takes 2nd on the throw. Anderson orders an intentional walk for Fisk. It looks like a perfect move when Fred Lynn is out on strikes. Petrocelli walks on a full count to make the score 2-0. And then Dwight Evans walks on 4 pitches to make it 3-0. Don Gullett, though, gets Burleson, and that ends the inning. But the Boston Red Sox lead 3-0. That's the lead that left-hander Bill Lee, the one they call Spaceman, took into the 6th inning. 2 outs, 1 on, and Tony Perez is at the plate. Bill Lee tries a big, slow curve, and Perez rides it right out of the ballpark. The outspoken Lee said later, "I made a bad pitch. I lived by the slow curve all year, and I died by the slow curve." Lee survives a home run by Perez, but he's knocked out by a blister on his finger in the 7th. Johnson wants the left-hander Moret, and the Boston fans thank Lee for an outstanding effort. Ken Griffey was on 2nd base when Moret pitched to Pete Rose. Rose, his 10th hit of the series, and the 7th game is tied up 3-3. Now it comes down to the Cincinnati 9th. Jim Burton is the pitcher for Boston. Ken Griffey walks. Geronimo bunts. Petrocelli slips but makes a great play at first base.
I'll tell you what, now look, you don't have to, walking this man doesn't bother me a bit, okay? So you can go ahead and you can just work on him and let Jim throw his curveball and just pop it and don't worry about it, you know. This guy's a good fastball hitter. Just move the ball around, shoot for the black, okay?
Pete Rose does walk. There are 2 outs, 2 on. The score tied, 3-3, and 2 strikes on Joe Morgan. Burton throws a slider low and away. Fred Lynn charges hard, but he can't reach it. Griffey scores with the go-ahead run. And meantime, Pete Rose shows him why they call him Charlie Hustle and how he got to be named the series' most valuable player. For the Boston Red Sox, it has all come down to this turn at bat. Cincinnati gets 2 quick outs, and now it's Will McEnany against Carl Yastrzemski, who has made it happen here so many times. Yes, it's a high fly ball to Geronimo in center field. And the 1975 World Series becomes not just history, but history written in big, bold letters for baseball fans to point at for years to come. The Cincinnati Reds are the world champions. The Reds win the World Series 4-3. It's a series where players on both teams can walk away with an enormous feeling of pride. It's a World Series that has given the fans who expect thrills in a World Series more than they expected. It is something special. A World Series that will be remembered for what it was, a Super Series.